content during school hours?
Well, we're delighted to have in the studio co-founder of Smartphone Free Schools Rating. It's Jennifer Powers, who's here to tell us about it. And Jennifer, the first thing I have, really, I'm a bit like Ellie here, and I'm thinking, so what's the problem? What's the problem? This sounds very sensible. This sounds, the way it should be. If I was running a school, I would have a ban on phones being used in the classroom. You can have them between classes or whatever, but not during class time. What is the issue?
Well, the issue is that in the vast majority of schools in this country, smartphones are still available and in use on site. And as you both have said, that has serious repercussions for behavior in schools, for educational attainment of the children. So for the first time ever in the UK, and I think around the world, there are now clear standards of what makes a robustly smartphone-free school. Because every school has a policy banning smartphones, but what does that policy actually look like and how well is it enforced? So we now have the gold, silver and bronze. And
but Jennifer, there must be educationalists, headmasters, teachers, whatever, who are saying, no, it's okay to have these. These can actually help during lessons, for instance.
Well, I think the evidence is fairly clear that having access to smartphones during the day is actually not beneficial for children or the schools. This rating system is designed by head teachers who really want to see schools going genuinely smartphone free. And the way to do that is to either lock them away during the school day in a locker or in a lockable pouch, or even better, to not allow them on the premises. So we've got primary schools around the country, it's a really big trend now, to actually say, look, if your child walks to school in year 5 or 6, they're not allowed to turn in a smartphone. It has to be a brick phone, just a very, very simple phone.
What pupil in year 5 and 6 has a smartphone anyway? I mean, is that as young as we're seeing? I mean, how old are they then, 10?
No, sadly, a quarter of 5 to 7-year-olds in this country have their own smartphone.
Gosh.
Now, that's not to say they're bringing it to school because they're being dropped off, but when they come in years 5 and 6. So a lot of primary schools are sending a really clear message that says smartphones are actually devices for adults. We don't want them in school. And then secondary schools, I've had 2 calls in the last week from deputy head teachers at secondary schools saying they're going smartphone free on the premises for year 7s from September, which is fantastic news. And then they're rolling that up year on year. So next year, as that group gets older, it'll be years 7, 8, then 9, all the way through till year 11. So very much the trend. We're hoping this rating system will help head teachers all across the country know what good looks like.
Well, it will be helpful for parents as well, because you'd imagine parents would start to seek out smartphone-free schools that they can send their children to.
Absolutely. So it really informs parents and it helps them understand the policy and compare policies. It helps head teachers because they know what good looks like, and our system helps them move up the ratings from bronze, silver to gold. And most importantly, it helps children because we know that children thrive in smartphone-free schools.
But who would pay attention to your ratings? Who adopts your ratings and who says that is the standard we must apply?
Well, there's currently no rating out there.
Yeah.
And so the head teachers, concerned head teachers from across the country have come together, and we've been working for the last 5 months to pull this together. We hope and expect all political parties to be supportive. We expect schools to be supportive because, of course, everyone sees what the problem is. There just hasn't been a really clear definition of what good looks like. And so we're hoping, hundreds, thousands of schools will sign up.
Do you know what the issue is in this? I don't think it's so much the pupils, I think it's parents, right? You'll always get parents interrupting and saying, oh, but yes, little Jimmy needs to be able to tell me if he gets a sore tummy during the day or whatever, and you start to think, well, what did we do when
went to the
we
school office?
And so how can parents interfere with all of this?
Well, you're right in the sense that some of the head teachers that I speak to are a little bit reticent to put this in because they're concerned about the backlash from parents. And we all know there's occasionally a difficult parent, but what's been wonderful to hear from the head teachers who've implemented this policy is the vast majority of parents welcome it. Why? Because it makes their life easier, because they say, oh, well, the school doesn't allow you to have a smartphone, therefore I don't need to buy you one, you don't need to become addicted to social media, spend hours and hours scrolling. So it's actually useful for schools. I'm just going to tell you a really lovely story quickly, which is a head teacher who implemented a robustly smartphone-free policy a few months ago. And I asked him, what was the first thing you noticed? Not the biggest impact, just the first thing.
Yeah.
He said, sound. before in his school, the children, it was quiet between class and at break because they were all looking at their smartphones. He said the first day they implemented a robustly smartphone-free school, laughter.
Laughter.
The laughter came back
They're
to the
talking
school.
to each other.
They're talking to and doing what kids should do. So we hope all the schools out there will sign up. Just Google smartphone free schools rating, and it takes 1 minute, absolutely free.
And maybe those children will maybe one day appreciate what they're losing out on and what they should have, and it's not all there in a smartphone. Jennifer, good luck with what you're trying to do. Jennifer
you.
Powers is director of the Unplugged Coalition in all of this, and we hope to hear more as the year progresses as to how you're doing and if it is successful. And if you're a parent, why do you object? Why would you